I'm going to pass the mic to Vanessa Vargas. She's one of our career specialists, and she will be kicking off the panel.
Thank you, Monica, for the career overview and the introduction. Before we transition into our employer panel, I wanted to ask another poll question. So Nicole will put that up for you guys. And I'll give you guys a few moments to answer the question. Perfect. I'm super excited to introduce our awesome business panelists for this year's Summer Employment Nights. We have 4 businesses that we're featuring tonight, starting with City of Loveland, Kirk Smith, Culver's, Dylan Brewster, Jax Outdoor Gear, Farm and Ranch, and Grobarick, and Metrolux 14, Nat Perez. And we're going to start with a few questions. The first question being, tell us about yourself, the company you represent, and the position you hold. What employment opportunities do you have for young adults in our community? And we're going to start off with Kirk Smith.
Hi guys, it's great to see everybody. My name is Kirk Smith. I'm a recreation specialist for the Parks and Recreation Department. Specifically, I work in aquatics, so anything water related. We have lots of other jobs within the City of Loveland, but I'll kind of focus on Parks and Recreation. And I think you were saying like opportunities, as in, I'll just give an overview. Is that kind of what you guys meant? Right. So we have a website because there's a lot of opportunities, and it's lovegov.org/jobs. So I think we can get that posted, lovegov.org/jobs. And a lot of really cool jobs. They're fun. It's a great organization, you know, working for a municipality to build your resume. Our wages are competitive. Scheduling is flexible. And always career advancement opportunities. So I'm just kind of looking over at another screen. I'm just going to give a few, and I'll keep it very short, but guest services at Chilson and at Winona Pool, lots of stuff in the golf division. Swim instructor, lifeguard, swim aid, concessions, all kinds of really good jobs. So I don't want to steal all of the time from everyone, but if you go to lovegov.org/jobs, there's so many really cool opportunities, and it's just great working for the City of Loveland. It's a lot of fun, and it would be great to see you guys come out. And if you see something, the last thing, you see something like maybe CPR is required or lifeguard training is required, there's some flexibility with that, that we are offering some training and some incentives to pay back people for some of those trainings. So don't let that deter you, still apply. And if your resume looks good, we'll probably call you even if you don't meet some of those requirements. So that's kind of an overview. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Thank you, Kirk. Before we move on to the next panelist, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask these businesses, please feel free to put your questions in the chat or raise your hand, and we'll unmute the Zoom for you to ask the questions. Moving on to our next panelist, we'll have Dylan from Culver's.
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me. My name is Dylan Brewster, owner and operator of the Culver's here in Johnstown. We have a ton of opportunities for the youth. Honestly, I actually started with Culver's when I was 16 myself. So definitely a ton of opportunities, a ton of growth potential. Yeah, I think a lot of people always think, you know, when they're young, you know, it's good to go get a job at a restaurant, learn the customer service, learn how to work with teams, that kind of thing. So we've got a lot of opportunities there, definitely.
Thank you, Dylan. Now moving on to Anne.
Hi there. I'm Anne-Marie Grobarick. I'm a human resources generalist with Jax Mercantile. We have 9 different locations. Jax only hires at 15, not at 14, as far as I know right now. But we have 2 locations in Fort Collins, 2 locations in Loveland, and then we have actually 1 in Cheyenne, 2 in Lafayette, and 1 in Broomfield, if you guys happen to spend the summers down there or whatever. But the jobs that we're looking to fill for the most part are either cashiers or sales associates in our different departments. So if you have a particular area of expertise like hunting or fishing or biking, camping, all those kinds of things, that can be extremely helpful when it comes to finding the right position for you in our different stores. And when you want to apply for us, you would go to jaxgoods.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's a thing that says employment. If you click on that, it'll take you to a page where you can go and see the different opportunities at our different locations.
Perfect. Thank you, Anne. And for Nat?
Hi, I am the operations manager at Metrolux 14, representing Metropolitan Theaters. For new hires, the biggest thing is we generally just hire a floor associate, and we assign you to different roles as needed. Usually 16 is the youngest we hire. Those roles will oftentimes be usher, maybe box office. We have a position we call Prez, which is presentation checklist. So it's basically a theater checker. Make sure that the screen looks good, make sure that people aren't being rowdy in the theater or doing anything that would require a conversation outside of the actual auditorium. But then once you hit 18, there's more opportunities being in concessions. And 21-year-olds, we actively hire for concessions positions. Due to the nature of serving alcohol, we want to make sure that we abide by all state rules, city rules. And yeah, but there are plenty of opportunities. And we know oftentimes in a movie theater, we're dealing with people who are their first time jobs. This is the first time they've gone into the workforce. So yeah, it's a fun work environment. And obviously, if you love movies, it'll just make it that much easier.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We have a few questions about the starting age you guys hire. So I'm just going to go around really quick and ask each business the age that they're looking for. And I'll start with Nat again.
Yeah, we begin hiring at 16.
And then Anne.
We begin hiring at 15. And as once you're 18, you are allowed to do additional work, like working with power equipment and things like that.
Perfect. And then Kirk.
So we begin hiring at 14, things like concessions and swim aid, which is really cool. And that's one of the programs I do, is the swim lesson side of it. So it's so neat to hire someone 14 years old, that first job, and kind of talk them through the process. And honestly, those are some of our best employees often. 15 to be a lifeguard, 16 to be a swim instructor. And then we do have like day camp jobs and other positions that require you to be 18 years old. And it's all on the website, but it's kind of cool to hire someone that's 14 years old. It's a lot of fun to see that look in their eye when they get that first job and the first paycheck. So we start at 14.
Well, awesome for that information. And Dylan.
We hire starting at 14, and I'll echo Kirk. Some of our best team members, start at 14, and they do fantastic for us.
Awesome. Thank you all for giving me that information. As we move on to the next question, please tell us about your organization's application process and share with us what you look for in an employee. And let's start with Anne.
I wasn't expecting to go first. Our hiring process is through our website. So when you go to that Jax Goods info employment, you select the store that you're interested in, and then you can see our open positions. And there's an opportunity for you to apply directly through the website. One of the things that's very different from the way that I used to apply for jobs when I first started looking for work is that most of the application process is done online, and many companies have their own application tracking system. So you're going to have to fill in a bunch of information on the computer and in different fields. And so you may want to have a Word document where you have your information and you can copy and paste it into the text fields. That can help really make the process work better for you. Another thing is, if you want to talk to a particular store manager, if you happen to be in the store, you can always ask to speak to the store manager and tell them you're interested in looking for work at their store, and then they will look for your application online and keep that in mind when screening applicants. So that's always a good thing to do as well. What was the other part of the question? Was how to apply, and then
what do you look for an employee?
So what we look for is some flexibility, obviously availability. Depending upon the store, they may be looking for specific shifts to fill. I know, during the school year, you guys are oftentimes limited by being at school, but in the summer, you've got more flexibility during the day. Some of you who are no longer in school, that daytime availability during the school year is great for us. So it just depends upon the needs of the individual store as to what they're looking for, but we want people to be flexible. We want people to be available. We're looking for people with positive attitudes who are great with customers. Jax prides themselves on being able to wow the customer with customer service, saying hello to everybody, and helping them find what they need. So that's what we're looking for in the people who are looking to work for us.
Perfect. And then we have a question from the chat for you, Anne. If someone applied last year and did not hear back, should they apply again?
Definitely. Yes, please do. It's one of those things where we don't look at those older applications, and so you're going to want to put your information in again, so you'll come up at the top of the list.
Awesome. That's good information. Let's hear from Kirk.
A lot of the similar things. I mean, the big thing is character and just like how you come across, the kind of person that you are, being trainable, being customer service friendly, understanding that we work for the city of Loveland, so we represent the city, and some of this is a lot of this is taxpayer money, some of it's funded by admissions and things like that. But city, working for a city municipality, people have a high expectation, and so living up to that standard. Experience is great. However, sometimes you don't have the experience, and these are great first jobs. Some of the jobs require certifications, as I mentioned earlier. Some of that can be waived, and some of those certifications can even be. We can talk about ways of getting that done so that we can hire you. Yeah, I think that's basically it. And as mentioned before, lovegov.org/jobs, and the link does work that's in there. I think it kind of defaults to something that looks a little different, but you click on that and there's tons of jobs. So we're looking for good people that are trainable and really interested in serving the citizens of Northern Colorado. So it'd be great to have you guys apply.
Thank you. Now moving on to Dylan.
Yeah, we still carry paper applications, so you can come in and fill one of those out, or you can also apply online at culvers.com. There you can kind of put in your zip code and find the nearest Culvers. We do have one on West Loveland now, a couple Fort Collins, Greeley, around the area. I operate the one there in Centera. And honestly, what we look for in a team member is just someone who has a good personality, wants to do, do something to help our guests, whether it's making food or just talking to the guest, just someone that's happy that wants to be a part of a team. We're going to work with you, and you're going to work with us. So we all want everyone just to be happy and have a good time, and, take care of the guest.
Awesome. And then from Nat.
So our applications, we have a couple different ways. We have the Metropolitan Theater's website, which is just metrotheaters.com, and theater spelled with the R before the E for anybody who's typing that in themselves. We also have paper applications still, and we do hire from Indeed as well for anybody doing the resume track and utilizing those assistance programs. As far as what we're looking for, high energy is always a good thing, especially if you're an usher. You're going to be working some physical work, cleaning theaters, sweeping, walking from auditorium to auditorium. People who want to be team players, obviously, that's such an important thing, is to have that willingness to step up and help. You know, you don't always have to be asked to do a task, and then delivering great customer service. I mean, that's always an expectation, and we understand that people don't have the experience, so it's, what do you bring in that interview process that shows us that those qualities are there, being able to talk to us, carry a conversation. And if you want to talk about movies, we're clearly here for that as well. So it's easy to tell when somebody's passionate about the business, but that's not a necessity. One of our supervisors, in fact, is not a movie watcher at all. She doesn't really like to attend employee screenings. It's just, nope. She likes to do her work, likes the environment, thinks of everything as a family, and that's how it goes.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing those tips and tricks for being a good employee for the businesses. I have a question from the chat that I want to ask all of you guys. And it is, why would a kid want to work at your business? So I'll start with Nat. We'll go backwards.
The movie theater business, which I am so surprised I didn't get into until I was in my 30s, it's a fun business to be in. It's a place where people are going to by choice. There's not a necessity to come to the movies. So your clientele is there to be happy or to experience something new. And I think that that's just great in your adolescence as you grow, to be around people who are positive. Also, if you're into movies, why would you not want to work in a movie theater? That's just a fun place to be.
Very true. So if you want movies, it's a great place to go. Let's ask Dylan next.
Certainly the work is fun, but more importantly, I think you'll have kind of a second home. We have a ton of great leaders who have all worked for us for years, from that 16, 17-year-old age. And they're going to make sure they take care of you. They're going to make sure when you come to work, you're happy. When you leave work, you're happy. We're going to do our best to make sure that you're taken care of just as much as the guest is.
Thank you. And now with Kirk.
Yeah, similar to everything that people are saying. It's a fun environment. All these jobs sound great, in fact. But really fun environment working for the city, specifically in Parks and Recreation. A lot of the jobs are outdoors. We try to be competitive with our wages. Sometimes you might find something that's a quarter more an hour here or there, but we really have worked hard to stay competitive. Flexible scheduling, opportunities for career advancement. One thing, if you end up working year round, so like let's say you make through the seasonal hiring and there's a job available at the Chilson Rec Center, there's a membership involved, so you could get a membership and get into the rec center for free. So it's just a fun place to work, and a lot of teamwork, and a lot of good people that believe in what we do, and it's nice to have that kind of purpose. So a lot of good reasons to work for us.
Awesome. And Anne?
So I think it's interesting because we're all talking about how fun it is to do our work, and it is fun to work at Jax. We have so many different kinds of products available if you like that kind of field. So we're all about helping people getting chores done. So if you like farm and ranch, there's a lot of different equipment and things that you have an opportunity to get exposed to that are really neat. And then if you enjoy outdoor hiking, camping, things like that, you have an opportunity to learn about the different kinds of products. So the thing that I think is really neat is we have some product training and knowledge that you get that really increases your expertise in certain areas. It allows you an opportunity to help people who are interested in those kinds of fields find the right product. There's nothing more satisfying than when you're the person that they come to for questions on what's the best tent to use when you go camping. So that's something that makes it fun. But we promote from within. Also, there's the employee discount. I know that's a perk that I particularly like. It depends upon what you're interested in buying as to how much of a discount it is. But since I like some of the clothes that we sell at our place, that's really exciting for me. We also get a performance bonus once a month. So you work together as a team to make the sales work for the company, and then that is taken into consideration once a month, and you get a bonus, which is pretty exciting. I think that a person would want to work with us because, for example, our IT director started off working for us when she was 17. Our chief financial officer started working for us when she was a teenager. We have a culture that's all about developing people and promoting them from within. We have a new truck driver, and we're training that person on how to be a CDL driver. So we invest in our people. And then also, we're conservation minded. So we have some things that, you know, if you bike to the location or walk to the location, you get credits for that. We do a lot of recycling. We have a green team and their focus is on recycling things like batteries. People will come in and bring jeans for recycling, corks from the wine bottles. We use those. We send them to a company that does shoes for us, and they use them to make their soles. And I think in Loveland, they're going to start recycling eyeglasses. So I'm taking up too much time. Sorry, guys. But I think there's a lot of different reasons why you might want to work for Jax if you're a young person. And it really depends on what you want as to whether or not we'd be the right place for you.
Awesome. That was a lot of good information. We have another question from the chat. If a student has been focused on school without a ton of work experience, does that affect the likelihood of being hired? And let's start with Dylan.
Not at all. Honestly, sometimes it's best if you don't have any experience, because we know that we can onboard you and show you our process, and you don't have preconceived notions or even sometimes bad habits from other places. We can start fresh with you and work with you, and you know, we're really good at that.
Awesome. Thank you. And moving on to Kirk.
Sorry about that. I've got 3 different screens and I was sidetracked. A little kid came in to ask about what level she was in, and that's why I left. Now we're open to employing, you know, anyone who really wants to do a good job and believes in recreation and believes in what we stand for. And it's really neat to be in an environment where people are going to have fun. So that's really neat. So really, I would say it's a great place to get that first job. Or, I mean, experience is always a bonus, but not necessarily is that all we're looking for. So I would not worry about that. I would still apply and go through the process, and you just might be surprised.
Thank you. And then Nat.
Yeah, we do not require experience to be a new hire here. In fact, the majority of our younger staff, it is their first job, and we welcome that with open arms, create that family environment. So just be a welcoming place. And I think it's just important to have that desire to work. That's what we're really looking for. Is, you know, you want to better yourself, and that's the important thing.
Thank you. And Anne.
We definitely take people who have no previous work experience. But I will say that if you have a hobby or some life experience that would apply to, I would imagine any of this is true for any of the jobs, that if you've got, you know, something that's a personal hobby that would apply to that particular job, make sure to highlight that in your application.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question. If you have any, share a story with us when an applicant stood out for hiring and what they did that made such a strong impression. So in other words, what's different about your application process, and a story of an individual that stood out when applying. And let's go with Kirk.
Well, The application process, I say, as far as the online part of it, it's pretty similar to what everybody else has. The interviews are really personable, and we really take the time to get to know the person. So I always tell people, think about what you can bring to our organization. Don't worry about being perfect. We want to figure out who you really are and make sure you're a good fit. A story. Right now we have a couple of people that were hired on as swim aides. And they just did an amazing job, and they moved on, and now they're swim instructors, and the pay for that's quite a bit more, but plus it's just like a lot more responsibility, and they really enjoy working with kids, and it's just so neat to get that kind of experience. Some of these people, I can think of one to make it a little more exactly a story. Someone who worked for us, and then she decided when she was going on to college that she wanted to be an elementary school teacher. She continued to teach swim lessons, and eventually she's just now finishing up her practicum and then indoor student teaching at UNC. So it really supported her lifetime goals of becoming a teacher, and just to get that experience and see what it feels like to work around kids and to be a teacher. So to see someone start at 14 and now she's 23, and she thinks she is moving into the world of education just because she was around a lot of kids and had a good experience. So it's neat to see like all of that advancement and see someone grow, and without giving her specific name, but I think she's going to be a great teacher. And it all started just here working with kids teaching swimming lessons. We do a lot of other jobs besides that, but that's one of my kind of individualized stories, just to see that person grow. It was really cool.
That's really awesome. It's a really cool success story. Moving towards Anne.
So I'm thinking about a person who applied down in Lafayette. They came to us, they actually visited the store, were shopping in the store, and they talked to the store manager because they had a lot of experience in horseback riding and enjoyed the Western wear department. And so they asked how they could get involved or start working at that department. So the store manager referred them to the website. They went and applied on the website, and they were kind of keeping an eye out for their application. Once they saw it come through, they hired them as a part-time salesperson there. And then as the person was going through school, they expressed an interest in veterinary science as a career goal. And that's what they were thinking they were going to go to college for. So an opening came up in our pet and equine department. So they've transferred over to that, and now they're the department manager there. So that was, that worked out really well. Just asking questions of the store manager and expressing an interest face to face, and then following it up with online.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And Dylan?
For our application process, it's pretty simple and easy. We're people too, so we just like to sit down and talk, and really see if you're a good fit. For a story of someone who stood out, my GM had interviewed a younger lady a couple months ago, and she just really had a ton of personality. Came with some questions ready to go for us about about our restaurant and if we were a good fit for her. And it just really kind of shined through. She really let her personality show, and now is working for us and doing great.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And Nat?
So I apologize because I actually have not been heavily involved in the hiring process. I only started at my position and in this job in October. But I did hear a story about a recent applicant who oftentimes will ask the question, what's your favorite movie? Which can be daunting for some. And for others, in this particular instance, they answered so fast that I was almost called into the interview to have a discussion about the film, because I have a passion for animated movies, and they had said The Book of Life, and it covers some similar subject matter to some other animated films, but they were adamant about that answer. So, and they do work here, so it was a positive thing to have a response so quickly and so in line. So those conversations are always fun.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. We have another question in the chat. And it was answered in the chat, but I'm just going to address it so we can let everyone know the answer to it. There's 2 questions about if you have to use your legal name on an application, but it does not reflect how you want to be addressed, especially for those who may be transgender. And the answer to that question was you will need to use your legal name for purposes of social security number, your ID verification, legal things like that. But you may use your preferred name in areas that don't require a legal cross-check. Just for anyone else who was wondering. And then we're going to move on to another question. We have a lot of people asking for jobs that hire 14 and 15, and this question is tailored more for them. For the younger youth in our audience, what suggestions would you give them to begin connecting to the workforce? And we'll start with Nat.
Well, since we hire at 16 instead of 14, I won't take up too much time. But for us, it would just be grabbing a physical application and showing interest, speaking to a member of management of the supervisor team when you come in to get that application. It's always a good thing for first timers. So.
Awesome. And then Dylan?
Yeah, for the younger guys out there, just don't be afraid to come in and talk to us. Reach out, come in, introduce yourself, say hi. Let us know you put in an application. Again, most of us started there when we were pretty young. Like I said, I started there when I was 16, so I was probably pretty nervous when I came in for my first day. Don't be nervous. We're all humans. We want to make sure that you are taken care of during your time with our restaurant. And we just want to make sure you feel at home through the application process, and if you get the job, and from on out.
Thank you for sharing. And Anne.
I really don't have anything different to say. I do think that speaking to someone at the store and expressing interest does make a difference, because that puts a face to the name, and I think that definitely helps. But really just asking questions, expressing enthusiasm, you can't go wrong there.
Awesome. And then coming to our last question, what's your last kernel of wisdom / piece of advice you'd offer to our attendees tonight? So we'll start with Dylan.
Kind of, again, just be yourself, ask questions, don't be afraid, don't be nervous, just be yourself. Tell us, what makes you tick, tell us things that you think are important to you. That'll help leave a lasting impression for us.
Thank you. And then Anne.
I think it's important to understand that you need to be patient with us a little bit too, because sometimes our systems don't work the way that they're supposed to, or we may, I don't know, not answer a question in a way that you understand or something like that. And so you just be patient and go ahead and keep asking those questions until you get to a point where you understand. Because sometimes the other thing is you'll need to follow through on things. So if you come into the store and tell someone your name and drop off a resume, that's great. But then we need the application and the application system. So you still have to follow through and do those things. That's very important in the process.
And then Kurt.
Yeah, and kind of a little bit the previous question too. It all goes together. Just I do like seeing someone, especially in a younger person, someone that's taken the effort to build a resume, or at least take their time on the application to make sure that things are spelled pretty much correctly, and if they're typing their name, that there's a capital letter for their name. And I know that does not, the best employee in the world might not capitalize their name or take the time to make a nice resume, but sometimes I'll be honest, my eye catches that and I'm like, this person really cared about their application. They might care about their employment. I've hired people that maybe their application didn't look so great and they were some of our best employees. I want to make that clear, but to stand out and to take some time in that application and to think about things that make you stand out things you've done, maybe volunteer things you've done with your school, or even just babysitting, like what you liked about babysitting and what you learned from babysitting. I'm just trying to think of things for a younger applicant. And then, as was mentioned, the follow through. A lot of our jobs are safety sensitive, so they have to take even at 14 years old, you have to take a drug test, and just to follow emails and follow information and get your parents involved, because that can be confusing when you're young and applying. So you have to just really stay on top of things. There's a time parameter on some of that stuff. So just to really not get behind, or to call your hiring supervisor if you're confused about something. So it's a little bit of a, I don't want to say test, but a little bit of a challenge sometimes for someone when their first job to get emails and follow things for the hiring process. But it can be done, and we're here to help. So lots of follow through, and yeah, making things look presentable. I think that's important. I think it's still important. So thanks.
And then Nat?
This is going to sound kind of funny, but dress nice. You know, show that you've done some research and have observed what the employees in the building look like, and dress maybe a step above what you saw. It's just going to give you that level of presentation and create something memorable. But on top of that, be yourself. You know, we are still the same person, whether we're in a shirt and tie or a t-shirt and shorts. So you be able to present who you are, and don't be afraid to be honest, especially in the movie theater business. Once again, you're dealing with entertainment. People want to be happy. So.
Awesome. Thank you guys all for sharing. I thought that was going to be our last question, but we have really good participation tonight. So I'm going to ask a few more if you guys don't mind. The first one is, if someone only wants to work for the summer but not into the school year, how does that affect the likely change of the person being hired? And we'll go with Anne.
I think we know that people are looking for summer jobs, and I think that's completely fine. There's no problem with that at all. And if you indicate that, your store managers will just keep that in mind when going through scheduling. So that's fine.
Thank you for that. And Nat?
If we're doing a group hire where we're looking to fill a specific number of positions, it might be a problem, but in general, no, it isn't. But if we have some crazy numbers, let's say we have 15 good candidates for 3 job positions, that could become an issue. But if it is just a general application just throughout the year that we are hiring, and someone indicates that they are going to look, that they're just looking for a summer job, that's certainly not a barrier at all. Being honest and forthright with that is important. It's better to know in advance than to be blindsided at the end of the summer and have to lose somebody. But if we know in advance, there's always ways to work with that.
Awesome. And Kirk?
Yeah, seasonal positions definitely are okay. And in fact, some of them are hired just as seasonal. Quite often, though, if somebody wants to stay, they can. Some of those seasonal positions, I can think of like day camp counselors. The program continues a little bit throughout the year, but the main bunch of those are just in the summertime. So we're looking for seasonal people. And like I said, if you want to stay and you're highly motivated, be a great chance you could stay on board as well and working with your school schedule.
And Dylan?
Yeah, kind of same thing as these guys. Not really a big issue for us, as long as I think Nat said it. You know, it's just communicated at the beginning and it, you know, honest about it, and we know not a problem. Only thing I think that, you know, it would matter for certain positions that we're looking to fill, long-term positions. You know, opening, you know, night closing crew, stuff like that. You might not be able to get that position, but we can certainly find a position that works for you.
Thank you. And then we have another question that is similar to that last one. Attendee wrote, I'm a high school student and I will be going on a trip at the beginning of the summer. I won't be back for a month. Would it be best to apply for a job after I get back? And will there still be availability in the summer? What are your guys' thoughts? And we'll start with Dylan.
Not a problem at all. In terms of taking that trip, and if you want to apply before or after, that's really kind of your preference. We've had some people who they want to get started, and at least kind of learn the ropes before they head out on their vacation. Or you can definitely wait until after, just so it's not too crazy and you're not forgetting anything. Really, it works either way for us.
Thank you. And Kirk?
Yeah, I could see that going either way. We often find at the end of the summer that some people are feeling like a little bit like they need some of a break. Summers can be quite just kind of intense, like at Winona Pool, for example. Sometimes we have up to 250 people at a time swimming in our pool. Some of those lifeguards towards the end of the summer need a little bit of a break. So it's nice to have someone come in towards the end of the summer like that. That's just one example where it would be viewed as, yeah, we're still hiring in the middle of the summer. However, there's a lot of training with a lot of these positions that go on early in the season. So to miss that training could be a bit of an issue, but I wouldn't say that excludes you from being interviewed, but I like the honesty, and sometimes that can speak well to be like, hey, this person's at least being upfront that they're going to need to take that month off. So it's kind of a mixed bag, but I definitely, if you're interested in one of the positions, still apply. It's okay. Life happens. We understand that families have vacations planned, and maybe you've had this plan for a long time, and hopefully we can accommodate you.
Awesome. And Anne?
I think it really depends upon the needs of the store. And if that's the case, I think applying before you leave is great. That way they can plan, and that would be helpful for them. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you're only looking for that couple months in the summer towards the end of it, we do have a practice where people sometimes will work for a period of time, quit, and then come back and get rehired. And that's a common occurrence in our stores as well. So I say the same thing as Dylan, where you can apply before your vacation or after. Either one works. And then if the store has availability and need for someone with your availability, then we can make that work.
Thank you. And Nat?
Yeah, applying beforehand would probably be fine. You're running into that potential training scenario where you would start training and then have a large gap and have to remember all of that. So afterward probably would be the preference here. And as far as applications for later in the summer, that's totally fine. Movie season is so strange right now. Things are moving and changing so often. We used to think of summer movies really being something that hit in May, but we opened the Batman on Friday, like it's March, and we'll have season all the way through August. And then again, we'll have a Thanksgiving rush and the holiday season. So we're always going to be looking for people in this line of work. So.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Attendees, if you guys have any more questions, I would ask them now in the chat. I'm going to read this last question that I see in it right now. Do follow-up phone calls work? Let's start with Nat.
Yes, they do, because it's very easy, especially with paper applications, to miss something. It's good to know that someone is motivated and they have that strong desire to be here. So I would say they do work. There's a limit to it. Every day kind of can be excessive phone calls, but once every couple of days or even once a week, if you haven't heard from anything for a long-term position, then yeah, absolutely. I think calling and following up is important.
Awesome. And Kirk?
I agree with everything that was just said. Please do follow up. It makes you stand out, and it's always good to have a good conversation and see where we're at in the process. So it's not viewed as a bad thing. It shows that you really are taking a lot of initiative, and I always view that as a positive thing. So do not hesitate to say, hey, where am I at in the process? What's going on? Do not hesitate.
And then Dylan?
Yeah, follow-up calls are definitely great. Similar to what Nat said, maybe every day is a little overkill. But definitely don't be afraid to give a call, and sometimes be direct. Ask for the hiring manager. Leave your name, that kind of thing. And also remember the name of who you talk to. That can definitely help. We have pitfalls in our own organization, so we know sometimes we lose things. But if you remember a name, we can definitely get you taken care of. And I'll add also, please, for at least restaurants, don't call at noon. That is the only thing. We can't take those phone calls at noon. It's tough, and we won't remember as much when we're running around making a bunch of burgers. But yeah, definitely phone calls help.
Thank you. And Anne?
Yes, within reason. Definitely, you can call, but again, not every day. It's almost, to us, it's more important that you respond to emails where you're asked to do certain tasks, like complete forms online, that kind of thing. But yeah, you can definitely do a follow-up call.
Awesome. Well, it looks like there's no more questions in the chat, so we'll move on to our next part of our presentation. Before we do, I want to thank the panelists for sharing so much valuable insight to our community to learn from. And remember, attendees, if you guys need assistance with your resume or a mock interview when applying to these businesses, feel free to reach out to the CareerRise team for help. As we transition to this next part, I would like the attendees to answer the next poll question that Nicole will put up. And I'll give you guys a few moments to look at that question and answer it.
So those of us running the webinar have a little suspicion that we don't think the poll questions are working correctly. And it's hard for us to tell on this end. So if that hasn't been working, we apologize. I'm thinking we should just move on to that next part, Vanessa.
Okay, sounds good. We will now move into something super exciting that the CareerRise team recently launched, the paid summer internships for 2022, and I'll hand it over to Monica.
Thanks for the feedback on the poll questions. We'll try that again. Okay. All right, so I'm going to jump into some exciting things that our team literally just launched this morning. And so we, as part of our seasonal offerings, seasonal programs, we get really excited for this time of year because we offer some paid internship opportunities for youth in the community. And so I'm going to go through each of these. Internships are going to be paid, and they so when we say internship, it's can be a little bit different than a job in that these ones are meant to be entry level into different career pathways, but they are paid. The wage this year is going to be $15 an hour. It's 250 hours starting in June and then going into August. So these are seasonal positions that start when school is out. The first group that I'm going to talk about is what we call our sector summer internships. So sector meaning the industry that these are hosted in. So we have two different groups of internships available within the sectors. One is supported by the Northern Colorado Manufacturing Sector Partnership, and the second one is the Northern Colorado Health Sector Partnership. And then we also have a third group of internships that I'll talk about next. So sector interns for manufacturing and healthcare, they're actually partly funded by those businesses. And so essentially these are two really great emerging industries within Northern Colorado. And so these industries are saying we want to get youth and young adults excited about career pathways within our industries because there's going to be a high need. There is a high need right now, as we know, but that need is going to continue. So that's why these internships are offered in those specific industries. So just because they're within manufacturing and healthcare, the positions themselves are going to range from a number of different opportunities. So if you think about You know, a large healthcare provider like UC Health, yes, they have direct service care providers that we traditionally think about as healthcare, but then there's this whole other sea of employees that do things like social media marketing, human resources. And so within those two industries, yes, some of them are going to feel directly related to what you would picture when you hear manufacturing and healthcare, but there's also going to be some really cool positions in there that are simply within those industries, but might be doing some very different tasks. So we encourage folks to apply for any position that they're interested in. You do have to do a specific application for each position, but you're welcome to apply for more than one. Make sure that you're answering questions on that application well, and that you are tailoring your answers in the application and your resume as best you can to the position you really want to go for. Applications are open as of today for the sector internships, and they close March 31st. And so you definitely don't want to miss out on those. Those are posted on our website, and you can check them out and apply. The other group of internships that we're offering that also recently went live are a little bit different. And so with the sector internships, you go in and you apply for the specific position that you're interested in, and then the employer will choose who they want to interview from there, very similar to a traditional job application process. With our fast track program, this one is a little bit different. So this one is geared towards high school seniors in Laramie County that are on track to graduate. The fast track program is meant to help with that transition from high school to whatever comes next for that young adult. So what happens is you apply to the program first. Applications are on the website along with an orientation. You are pulled into the program, and then then we work with our internship coordinators to find an internship that meets your career interest. We'll have some pre-built in, and you'll kind of get to pick and choose. These internships are also 250 hours. They're going to be $15 an hour, so very similar to the sector internships. In addition to being a high school senior, graduating in May, the other piece of eligibility for this particular program is that you do have to be coming from a low-income household and then meet another challenge to employment. And on our website, it'll show what those different challenges could be. For the low-income piece, if you're a young adult that has a mental health diagnosis or a disability, maybe you have an IEP or a 504 plan, then we're allowed to look at you as a household of one for income purposes. So it makes it a little bit easier in that way. But all of that specific eligibility is on our website. The reason why that extra eligibility is for the there for the fast track program is because of the way this program is funded. So it's federally funded, which comes with some certain eligibility components to it. So great internship opportunities there, along with some additional support built into that program with regards to being matched with a career specialist to help you through your internship, potential supportive service funding too, to pay for things that you might need to be successful on the job. I forgot to mention with the sector internships, those are for any high school student ages 16 to 18. So that's the piece of eligibility there. Those are for high school students, doesn't matter if you're graduating, but ages 16 to 18. So now we're going to pass it over to some folks from our Laramie County Conservation Corps to talk about the seasonal positions that they have available right now for the summer.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Taylor DeBrose. I'm the program coordinator for the Laramie County Conservation Corps. So this year we are offering 5 different crews. So a handful of positions available for young folks this summer. One of our crews is specifically 16 to 18-year-olds. So that's 8 open positions for 16 to 18-year-olds, and then the rest of them will be for 18 to 25-year-olds. So our summer programs focus on boots on the ground conservation work throughout Laramie County. So our land program, which is specific to our 16 to 18-year-olds, go ahead. So for that, our crew makeup is 1 lead, which is usually an 18+ individual, an assistant lead, and then, like I said, 8 core members of 16 to 18-year-olds. So it's an 8-week program that the start date would be June 6th, and it goes until August 11th. And the wage there is $12.80 per hour. This entails mostly trail work in the backcountry, so in the Arapahoe Roosevelt National Forest. For most of the season, it does require backcountry and some front country camping. So what that would look like is you would show up to the county building Monday morning, and you and your crew would pack up trailers, sleeping bags, everything like that, and head out to your work site, working 10 hours a day, and then making meals together, kind of communing together at the end of the evening, and then waking up and doing work for the rest of the week. So yeah, like I said, it focuses mostly on trail maintenance, trail construction, and invasive species management. With our programs, we do consider it like a service learning opportunity. So we really emphasize soft skill development along with the hard skills. So yeah, we really like to put an emphasis for a couple hours a week on career paths within the natural resource field, as well as just general job training for the future. So that could look like resume workshops or having someone from the Forest Service, full-time staff come and talk about their career path and how they got to where they were. So yeah, really great opportunity for young people in the communication. Like I said, get your hands dirty, get boots on the ground experience. Want to go to the next slide, Vanessa? So we do, just for 18-year-olds, I'll just briefly touch on these crews. We have a trail crew for the Forest Service. So that's actually that's 8 more positions. That's backcountry camping again. That's actually 16 project weeks. So if you were to be a graduating senior and maybe looking to have like a gap year experience, that will go through September. And then our forestry crews are our chainsaw crews. So if you were to be an individual kind of looking into like more of the forestry world or wildfire firefighting, this is an opportunity to get certified in chainsaw safety. And you would be running a chainsaw for 8 program weeks throughout the summer. So again, unfortunately, that's only for 18 to 25-year-olds, but if you have friends, family, cousins, whoever it may be that would be interested in those opportunities, feel free to send them our way. So the best way to learn more about these positions is to go to our website, which is larimer.org/EWD/LCCC. Oh, there it is, there in the chat. And our email is there as well. Just to touch on the side, kind of a little addition of what the panelists were saying. One thing we really encourage in this being like a job development setting, I guess, we really like for individuals to reach out themselves rather than parents. I think that says a lot for us when we have young people reaching out themselves, really expressing interest. So one thing we often say is that we can teach you any hard skills that you would need on the job. So if you've never dug a hole or picked up a shovel, it's no problem. We'll teach you any experience you need to have. We're just looking for individuals with the soft skills, the willingness to like get dirty, work hard. Yeah, so we can teach you any hard skills, but we're really looking for the willingness to work hard. So, Kira is also on this call. Kira, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I have to add is I had my first Conservation Corps experience and had no idea what a Conservation Corps was, but it's completely changed my career trajectory. Definitely worth giving it a try, especially since it is just a summer program. If you're looking to work outdoors during the summer and meet like-minded individuals who love the outdoors and want to give back to their local communities and public lands, I think it's a great opportunity.
Thanks, Kara. Yeah, and it can be very intimidating to spend that much time. But know that our staff that we hire as leads and assistant leads, we have all the confidence that they're able to help individuals in this setting that maybe is new to a lot of individuals. So it's really awesome. Yeah, potentially transformational opportunity that could set you on a new path. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing the information about the conservation work in Laramie County. I appreciate it. As we're wrapping up the end of our presentation tonight, I just want to remind all the attendees, whoever may be interested in applying for jobs at any of these businesses, please feel free to email the CareerRise email, and we can help connect you with these awesome employers. Also, before you guys leave, we wanted to inform you of the survey that we're going to send out after this presentation, and we'd really appreciate if you guys could fill that out for us. And in the last few minutes, just any additional questions that you attendees might have, you can ask them now before we wrap up for the evening. Okay, it looks like there are no additional questions. I want to thank the business panelists again for coming out and taking the time out of their day to share this information with all of us. It's super helpful and we appreciate it. And also I want to thank the attendees for participating and wish you guys good luck on your employment journeys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.